way. We see the private schools growing at a rapid pace. I mean, just growing out of proportion. On the meeting of the 28th, Mr. Seitler quoted that this year, 5,000 students, you threw that out at the very end of the meeting. That's why I stayed to the end, because y'all try to throw those tricky questions at the very end. But you threw out that there was 5,000 new students coming into the system this year.
No, that's not fair. It can't be crossed off. The passengers are right.
Okay, all right. We see the private school growing at a very rapid pace. Those students deserve an education just like every student, But then on the other side of town, we see the Lakewood school system, which is a failing school system. It helped me to understand, how do you balance yourself in having to finance the growing pace of the private schools, and then having to provide, because it's going to take finances to help the failing school systems of Lakewood to recover. I believe that we could start by giving these teachers the money they need so they can start the year, in a very good mood, because we need these teachers to help us build these failing schools in Lakewood. But help me to understand, how do you balance yourself in having to finance the growth of the private schools and also finance whatever agenda it's going to take to build the failing school systems of Lakewood? It's a reasonable question. What I need to know, does the pot keep growing? Or are we drawing money from one pot, stealing from Peter to pay Paul? That's what I'm trying to actually get at. Because, it's going to take money. Whenever Ms. Silver has an agenda we need to finance her agenda. We need to give her whatever money she needs so that she could do whatever she needs to do, so that our students so that our district can recover. But then on the other hand, we see the private schools growing at a very rapid pace. So that's one of my questions. I don't know if I make myself clear. And then my second question is,
I'll clarify too. I can clarify it before you.
Well, before you both clarify, it's pastor's turn, and it's 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Okay. My second question is the paras that were not hired because they did not pass the test. Have those paras been replaced? And will we be starting the school year with the same number of paras, so that none of our students are without a para?
Are those your questions?
That's it.
3 minutes 56, Mr. President, your determination.
Well, listen. Let me just take a few minutes. That 4-minute thing that y'all got going on doesn't help us at all. We need real answers, so that and we can help you do what you do. So it might take 5 minutes to answer some questions, but we, the public, we need answers. So you need to revisit that 4 minutes.
I want to address two other concerns. For one, I had just said before we moved into the recognition of the public, and this board has been talking about it for a while. We really are going to, I'm going to make a motion to move to a dialogue with give and take, but the minutes are going to stay the same. Now the issue is answering, you're going to have to rate your questions in a way where your most important ones are down, and we'll have the dialogue, so at least what you ask is answered, and you'll know right where you are. So I think that there are several board members that are very much in support of that, so that's something that we're going to address. Now, there have been several questions that have come up here that have asked questions. We've heard a couple of questions about Shy. We've heard a couple of questions about, balancing of the pot. We've heard a couple of different things that are some very unique challenges in this school district. We have, as you said, we have growing non-public schools daily. We have a very different anomaly here that we've seen that no one else can claim to have. And as a result, this balancing act is becoming more and more difficult. And when we say that, to put it in a realm that everybody can understand, because we're talking dollars and cents. We have about a third, with grants, budgets, state aid, local tax dollars, about $130 million budget. 72 million public, and 58 million non, or outside of the public realm. So that is a very unique challenge. And as we go forward, there are some things that are going to have to occur from the community at large, both non-public and public, which is, if we want to continue to fund education for all of the children in this town, when we create budgets, they're going to have to be inclusive of these growth and not take away from one or the other, and the budgets are going to have to be supported and passed. Because if you don't do that, all that happens is what continues to happen is that for something to grow, something has to give. And that is a very, very, very serious challenge that has been going on for quite some time. And so that is just my own answer to what your question is. I'm not the BA, I'm not the other board members, I can only speak for what my experience has been. So that's real. And people won't hear it, but that's where we're at. And so that's what we have to work with. We have to figure out how to make that work within this community, or else we're not going to accomplish any of these goals that are set before us. Bottom line. Hard stuff to hear, but it's the truth.
Through the chair, just one comment on Pastor's question.
Yes.
The LEA teachers get paid through the local budget funds. The private schools is grant money, which is a division which is dictated by the state. So even if you were to take more money out of the private schools, that would not help you be able to give an increase to teachers in the public schools, because it's a different, as you say, pot of gold. That budget dictates how much the teachers get paid, how much you have for salaries and everything else. One has nothing to do with the other.
Well, I have to beg to differ, Mr. Silver. When you're talking strictly, when you're talking strictly grants, that's fine and dandy. But if you're going to make a statement such as that, you need to be very cautious and careful. There are a great deal of services that we fund through the local tax dollars that we add in addition to whatever the grant funds are to non-public.
1.6 million to IDEA.
Okay, but you made it very clear that there was no distinction and that there was no opportunity or any monies. And I'm not saying that that is the issue, but make sure that when we make statements to the community that we make them very clear. You made it as if only dollars come or only grant funding. No, we have, as a board, have also appropriated additional funds in line items, and then we can speak to courtesy busing, hazardous busing, other issues. So please,
I agree with you on courtesy busing. Hazardous busing, what does that have?
What I'm trying to tell you,
what's the difference? If you have a hazardous route, what's the difference? What school that route is going to? It's a busing, it's a child that needs to be educated. The hazardous busing is totally...
Okay, well, let's go back a step. I just want to go back. Okay, good. So we'll say courtesy, we'll say IDEA, and some other things. But I just want you make a statement to the community, you make them think one thing, and it's not true. That's all I'm upset about. You just say what it is, and I'm fine with that. Say, listen, this is what we do, this is what we spend money on, and this is how it's allocated, and then make it plain. Don't blur the message. Let's be straight up here. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'd like to comment as your attorney at 10:15. Hazardous busing does not discriminate based on religion, color, or creed. Hazardous is hazardous. I would ask the board to have enough guts finally to ask the people who determine hazardous, which is the township, to actually pay for it. But again, I'm not like the township. But that's hazardous. Mr. Silver is correct, though, and so is Mr. Thomas. I'm not finished, Mr. Fink. In fact, the grant money is the grant money, but there are local funds that are utilized, which Mr. Silver did acknowledge. But hazardous is hazardous is hazardous.
That was a slip of the tongue. I'm speaking of courtesy. I'm speaking of our